Hi, and welcome to GM Tips. This is GM Rick coming at you this morning again. Sorry for the tank tops, but when it's summer in Texas, you just got to deal with things. And, if you live here long enough, cool is cool, and that's what you want to stay most days. So I had a great session yesterday with my group, and I posted up some things, and I hope you guys got to watch it. It's really good on the Reign of Winter, and it's our first live one where I've gotten the technical difficulties worked out thanks to my wonderful fiance. The first part was kind of dicey. Second part, she got the camera just right, so I know where to put it from now on, and we'll be recording going forward. So if you guys want to watch sessions of Reign of Winter and then into Mummy's Mask, we're going to do those. And I hope everybody enjoys them thoroughly and is able to appreciate just the fun and the great group I really have. And I want to give that shout out to my group. I've got one of the best groups in the business. And I know many of you will say that. I have just been really fortunate to work with these people and call them my friends when it comes at the end of the day. So I want to go into GM's tip a little bit this morning about the Second Darkness. It's an old original path that was done by Paizo, but I really like it. Again, a lot of Paizo's adventure paths are in the inner scene around a place called Varisia, and Varisia is the land of legends and monsters. It kind of is their real focal point, and they use Sand Point as a base of operation for most of the adventures out of Varisia. You can come from there and use Sand Point as an operating base, and it's a nice town. It's really on the coast. It's an interesting place. It has a lot of shops and key people that you can work with, so it makes a great place to really have as a base of operation for your players. In this particular adventure path, you're dealing with a place in Varisia called Riddle Court. And Riddle Court, I'm going to show you on the map here. Riddle Court lies in this part of Varisia. This whole area is Varisia that you guys will see. Beautiful area. The Cinderlands are now where the Shonti, who are the barbarians, have been driven to. The rest of Varisia to the south, you've got swamps and the Mush Fens and some other areas of interest. And there's a lot of major cities. And the Chelish Empire, back when Taldor was on a rise, really went in and populated this area and took it over. And it's a very diabolical. A lot of cities have diabolical influence thanks to House Thrun and the influences that went on there. And really, the poor Varisian people, as well as there's two types of Varisians. There's the original Varisians, who are more of a nomadic people that have some settled down, but some kept going. They're a gypsy-style people, kind of a swarthy-skinned people that are up in the area. And then there's the Shonti. The Shonti are more of a barbaric clan that worship totems, animal totems. And they're named their different clans after these totems. They shave their heads because they see the hair as a way that their opponent can get an advantage to them, and combat is really key, so they don't want their opponents to get an advantage. They don't have really second names or second surtitle names, as most don't, though they may take on a reference of their totem or their animal aspect that they worship. This area is a very open area. Now, Riddle Court is an area of thieves and a den of thieves, but it's not just thieves that are up there and gambling and illicitness. There's also a group that is studying one of the arches up there. The arch has magical context to it, and so you will find that part of the adventure is going to be around that. And they give you in this. I love this because they have the Second Darkness guide. They give you a guide to Riddle Court, and they take you through Riddle Court. Riddle Court is a large city. It is not a standard city because it is run by a monarch or a authority figure. It's kind of a what would the government be considered? It would be a criminal network or criminal organization. They have a flag, and if you notice, the flag has the arch on it itself. And they have the symbol of the Riddle Court gendarmes, which are the key and the sword. They have a lot of key deities up here. I love it because you get a mix of deities you wouldn't normally get in the rest of Variscia. You get Besmara. Besmara is the pirate goddess and the goddess of the sea. And so she is an interesting goddess to follow. She's chaotic neutral and very fickle at times, but an interesting, kind of like Calypso almost, but a little bit more of a swashbuckling attitude than Calypso had. Callistria. Callistria is the goddess of the sting. She is the goddess of revenge. Kind of an elven goddess, but worshipped by many other types of people. It's a prostitute goddess as well. She really is based around not only revenge, but pleasure. Cayden Kaeleen, god of freedom. He believes in no slavery, freedom of the people, freedom of expression, combat, and a good combat and adventure. So Cayden is an interesting god. He likes alcohol, bravery, and freedom for his different things. Desna. Desna is a staple goddess of Variscia. She's the goddess of traveler's luck and the stars, and she is a portent goddess to dreams. So she is an interesting city. And then you have Gozra. Gozra is a dual aspect. It's a dual aspect goddess. Depending on whether it's good weather or storm, depends on whether it's the male or female aspect of Gozra. So those are the different places in there, and they have different districts. Now, one of the things that they have in Riddle Court that's really key for it is that they have the Cypher Gate. And the Cypher Gate is an old gate. The Ruin Lords used to rule this area of the world. They were Aslanti settlers, and they came over and they tamed the area, and they became powerful people. And so the Cypher Gate is believed to either be part of them or part of the Cyclopean Empire, which once was also a part of the area. So the nice thing is they give you some prestige classes in here that are unique. They have the Liberator, which is a class that is used to liberate those wrongfully imprisoned. They have some different magic items they call up, as well as some different things for spelunkers. Now, one thing that you're going to find about this, the Second Darkness. Why do they call it the Second Darkness? Well, because the first Skyfall was the first darkness when the Aboleths in the history of the Inner Sea brought down, and the Aboleths were powerful at the time, the Veiled Masters, and they were angry that their creations were rising above them. So they brought down the Starstone to crash into the world and send it into a darkness. And that's what created a lot of the Inner Sea and reformed the Inner Sea. At that time, the elves fled the world either to one of the worlds in the solar systems, it's believed, or a few stayed around and tried to weather the storm, but the others went underground. And that's where the Drow come in, or Drow, or however you want to pronounce it. I've heard it pronounced so many different ways. Drow. I'm going to use Drow because Drow makes sense. So the first one has a beautiful, beautiful picture of a drow. And you can see what's going to happen here. You're going to start out in Riddle Court, and you're going to be dealing with the Underdark. And it's going to take you into an area of the Underdark that a lot of people haven't been before. And I love the adventure for this because it's a whole unique setting that starts above world and works its way below. And they give you the different ruins and the houses you're going to run into of the different drow. And the first one talks about gambling. So you come in and learn about the gambling. And Old Scratch is going to be a part of that deal with the gambling operation that goes on in Riddleport. Saul Vanderkaskeren is a part of that, as is the Lord of the City. And so you're going to be dealing with them as well as dealing with some of the strange going-ons in the area. And so you're going to be getting used to a lot of the area itself and kind of the different criminal aspects of Riddleport. So a lot of your adventure is going to be around that, but it also is going to deal with eventually going into the Underdark. But first, you must battle the were-rats that are in the area causing issues. And through those were-rats, you're going to go down into the tunnels, the goblin tunnels. And then from there, you're going to start running into some things in the Underdark. First things you're going to run into is the Draugr, which is the drowned zombie pirates or seamen. But then also you're going to get into troglodytes and fungal crawlers as you work your way down. And at the end of this adventure, you're going to run into Depora Ezrene. And she is the first of the Drow that has the machinations. And she is excavating there to try to find things for Abraxas, the Demon Lord. And she's doing in the hopes that she can work with the Cypher Gate and find out some of the aspects of it. So that's part one. In Children of the Void, the second one, a star stone has fallen. So at the end of the first one of the stones is going to come around thanks to Despora. And the race is on. Rare metals are normally found in star stones. So the Riddle Court lords and crime lords are going to want that, as well as wanting to gain the stone are the things of the Underdark. And so basically, the synopsis they give, and I love this, it's basically you begin going to the island of Devil's Elbow where the star has fallen. And from there, you're going to find various groups of prospectors that are there trying to get the stone itself. It carried dozens of cocoon aliens also called Akatas. And the Akatas are a strange group of aliens. But eventually, you're going to find the elven ruins of Selwinian. And that's where the Dark Elves are trying to gain hold of those ruins. And so it's a race against time to stop the Drow in that. So, you start out with your expedition to the island, and you're going to go on the Flying Cloud. And while on the Flying Cloud, you're going to run into some situations where there's going to be some sabotage, and which are the rogues coming on board to try to stop you from getting to the island with the prospectors. Once you get to Devil's Elbow, then you're going to run into a lot of strange individuals trying to mine the island itself in that starstone. You're going to run into things, kind of crazy things. You're going to come across a collection of crumbling buildings called the Witchlight. And in the Witchlight itself, you're going to find some void zombies, some really scary stuff. And their void zombies are different from the regular zombies. They are bloated tongues, and they're much more dangerous when it comes to that. They have larval Akatas in them. So they're being driven by a creature from elsewhere, outside the realm from the Dark Void. And then also at the same time, you're going to run into a transmuter there, Samritha Beldusk. And you're going to fight the Savage Akatas, which are right there, and try to beat them back. But then, from there, you're going to run into the prospectors. You're going to have to deal with them and the different people who are vying for this. But at that time, more Akata spawned bloat zombies are going to come. And there's going to be a major battle there between the prospectors and the party and these baddies. From there, you guys are going to head on. The party's going to head on to the hidden ruin of Selwinian. And they're going to go through the sea caves and find a ghost at the time. And the ghost is going to kind of try to stave them off from going in and finding more ruin. There's going to be shadow demons among the different things, as well as Zakin, the evil drow druid, who is trying to take over the area along with Shindira Masaria. And what you're going to try to do is you're going to try to take out these conquestual drow and stop them from ruining the prospectors' lives here. There's machinations going on. Bottom line, you got to remember in this adventure, as you're going through, and the fifth one I don't have, unfortunately, or the third one, I mean. It's on PDF, so I'm going to be able to talk about it. But it's leading up to you having to stop the drow from causing a second meteor fall, a skyfall, that's going to cause ruin in the world. And you don't want that. They're angry. These drow are angry at the world of men. and the above world. So they're on a suicide mission course almost to end this world. After you go through Adventure Path 15, which unfortunately I don't have, and I can't really show it to you because it's, you know, it's on PDF. That's the best way I can put it. Fourth one, Endless Night. Now, in Endless Night comes the real thing. You can see what's going on. The second Skyfall. And if this comes, it's going to cause another ruin of men like none ever seen. They serve the matron, and the matron's goal is real simple. Alcivinus's plot and is to do this. They want to wipe out the hated elves. And this is the best part of reading this. It says, Alvera spent years in Zircanian, which is a Drowse city, where she became known as the seer of the world above and driving force behind the most radical cries for warlike revenge against the surface elves and the surface dwellers. With the spells of the Drow mages confirming her every insight, the impression matron Simovara granted Alevra her family's name, adopting the outsider in an ancient noble house. Yet, as Alevera cemented her place in the matron Ezrene's favor, she displaced another. Simorva's interests in Alcivinus's interests waned, and basically Alcivinus fell into not wanting. So there was a fight between the Drow houses, basically. And the adventure here is, and I'm going to read it to you. It's very straightforward, but it's a good path thing. After aiding the elves and scouring the ruins of Selwyn of the Drow, the PCs stand in high regard. So basically, you're gaining positivity with the elves of the area. Once in their deadly and decadent last home of the elves, the PCs infiltrate one of the great Drow noble families, the House Vonarch. And Vonarch is a nasty one. I've read and if you don't have it, the Underdark realm is really good to read, and it'll give you a little bit on the houses. Once in the deadly, one of the house's leaders, the feared archmage Alcivinus, holds a personal grudge against the new Erasne matron Alevra. But few non-Drow blood ever see the reclusive mage. Being drawn into the intrigues and deceits of foul nobles, the PCs must maintain their disguises and rise among the ranks of the house's service, becoming more embroiled in the cruelty and mercilessness of the Drow society. As they gain status, the house's nobles take note that the party's tasks turn from daily drudgery to missions in service of Vonarch's glory. Finally, first daughter Alcivinus herself seeks out the PCs. Long aware of the characters' true identities, the Archmage offers to reveal all she knows about Alevera's plot and the dangerous mission. So what you're trying to do is you're pitting one house on the other. And you're going to be going through this one to pit that house on the other one. And so you're rising up through that time of going through the Drow society. And Zircanian is a nasty place. Take a look. It is not an updwelling city's best friend place. And there's slave mothers in the area as well as different daughters. This is Fadvia Vonarch. And she is one of the Vonarch residents. And there's several of them. There's Matron Pravona Vonarch, who's a demon initiate cleric, who's the head of the house. First daughter, Alcivinus's Vonarch. She's the wizard. And then Vonarch Fadeva Vonarch. She is a cleric and demonic initiate as well. And they're part of a Creshigal's reign as a demon cult. Then there's some first sons as well. So first and second sons. So, and then they give you a list of the Vonarch nobles. And I love that. Because what that does for you is it gives you as a GM a lot of role play. Now, Drow. I think very few people understand how vicious these creatures really are. Think of it this way. You are an elf driven from the light of the world. You're driven to the darkest realms where you have to battle creatures of the void that you have never faced before. Sagothi and other nasties that are just evil. You fight the bitter dwarves who are left under the ground and angry at their brethren. So the Duergar are not the happiest of people. You also get in with the Morlocks, and the Morlocks are the Aslanti that went underground, the humans, and they are a degenerate race. Then you have the vampiric races that are underground. There are so many nasty things that the Drow have to be nasty in order to survive, and they worship demons. It's not your AD&D Loth worshipping Drow. These worship major different demon lords and aspects, and so it takes each Drow clan a different direction from each other. Where in the other one, they were all trying to come under Lady Loth or Orcus. They had two that they worship. Here they have 12 to 20 different lords that they worship, and each house patrons under one. So you have different aspects of the Abyss coming into play as there's Vies of Power. Again, the males are second-class citizens, and they're tools, and the females rule. It is a matriarchal society. However, there is so much cruel sadistry, it's unbelievable. So when you play these, you don't play them as nice. These are psychopathic nightmares of characters. See, so many people play them as just a little bit S&M or whatever. No, they revel in suffering. So understand, as a GM, you're going to go to some dark places to play these things as NPCs. There's a fun to it, don't get me wrong, because you're going to challenge your party in ways they have never been challenged. And most of them think, oh, cool, Drow, I want to play a Drow. No, you haven't even begun to understand the depravity of these creatures. And in going into this realm here with the Valrak house, you're going to see there were a little more of the nicer house only because they've been slighted out of the true ruling order, pecking order. So they're going to try to put their apple cart behind somebody who's going to take down the evil matroness that leads them all. So again, they go through the Von Ark house itself and give you the features of how it looks. And it's a very odd-looking home. You're going to get to go through and serve them. So you're going to go in a lot of different tasks. And they have the different tasks of what you can become to the house. I love it. They let you roll to get the party in there. As what tasks are they? You're going to be information gatherers. You're going to be Drider hunters. You're going to be going into places to serve the dark pleasures of one of the Drow matronesses. And then slowly you're going to go to the Talar Salakis, where you're going to run into a male Drow wizard and serve him at some point. And the tower is a weird and just abyssal place, is the best way to put it. Got to think about it. If you're serving demons, your mind's going to be a little warped because of the chaos and the craziness. So when you play these things, they're confident, but they are warped beyond all belief. You're going to be working with the libraries and some of the nastiest of things. So keep in mind, you're going to run into and work with things like Devourers and other things that normally you'd kill as a party, but you got to in order to do this. And then you come across Alcivinus Von Ark, and she is a piece of work. She's going to give you a revelation of what's going on. You're going to get to see the Venom's Kiss, her private sanctum, okay? And you're going to have to deal with the Razor Crown mercenaries as well as Orviganato, who runs them. And then from there, you're going to deal with the bittersweet betrayal of her house. And she's going to talk with you about that. Then you got to escape House Von Ark and try to go deeper into those lands to truly take down the baddies. And in order to do that, you're going to have to fight one of the men of the house. They give you, I love this, a whole city aspect of a Drow city. And the funny part is I've been asking about these, but they normally don't have them in the adventure. So you're going to get to see this, as well as the key places around it. They're going to talk about the abominations of the Drowse. Flesh warping was a concept that was done back in the Aslanti empires, and the Drow were no exception of it. They believed in warping the flesh in order to create creatures of madness and power. So you're going to run into those aspects, so keep that in mind. So you're getting into some very dark places with this, and then the Blood of Below. You're going to run into different blood pools and adventure hooks, the Morlocks, the different craziness of the Underdark. How crazy is the Underdark? It's nuts. Think about it. Think about if you had to leave the surface and the pleasures of the light and all things that were living and growing and go down into a dank, dark, twisted fungal realm. And you had to survive. And you had radiation from the world itself and from magic poisoning and other things that have come into this world. Plus the dark veil that's prevalent coming up from Orv, the lowest of the realms. Now imagine what that would do to your mind and your spirit and how it would twist you in ways that you don't even begin to understand. That's what this second darkness is. You're going into the twisted mind and the twisted realm of the Drow. And it's not a great place. This is not going to be one of those hi-ho, hi-ho. And I know people have even watched Critical Role on what Matt did. He did some justice to it. And no offense, Matt, I love your stuff. You didn't do enough. You didn't darken it enough. The darkness that goes on in these realms should make you shudder as players. It is not a nice place. It is a twisted, warped realm of shadow that exists between the world surface and what is below the crust. Now we go into the Memory of Darkness, and this is the fifth of the adventures. And this is a scary place, because in the Memory of Darkness, now you're getting into the heart of the true Underdark. Okay? And I'm going to give you the summary, because I love reading the summary. I think they do justice in each of these. It says the adventure begins with the PCs having arrived in Keonan. So you're going to come up to the surface and meet with the Keonan elves after escaping the Von Ark scariness. Ushered to the elf city of Iadara, the PCs reveal their findings in the Drow city of Zerna Canaan to the Queen, which is kind of cool. You get to meet elven royalty. Who asks for them for a time to consider the news. Not long thereafter, the PCs are assaulted by elven mercenaries, and the Queen has the PCs relocated to a magical prison known as the Paradise Chamber for their own safety. In the prison, the PCs meet a strange half-elf bard who has some disturbing information for the PCs. A shadow government known as the Winter Council may be after them. Boy, Max would love this with Painvin in his current realm, because he's looking for this group. So basically, this half-elf, a woman named Colindra, asked the PCs to aid her in exposing the corruption of the Winter Council, so she can escort the PCs through the network of Tanglebriar, where the Winter Council fortress is located. That Quilindara is in fact a succubus seeking to gain prestige in the demonic court, for being the one who toppled the Winter Council is a secret to the PCs. After moving through several portals, the PCs arrive at Thorn's End, a stronghold of the Winter Council, only to find that it is besieged by demons. Exploring Thorn's End, the PCs learn that the Winter Council recently endured a schism of sorts, a betrayal of society by one of its own, and now the surviving counselors are desperate need to defeat the demons so that they can rebuild their broken society. The PCs must encourage the counselors to set aside their personal demons, to hear the warning about what the Drow are planning for Keonan, and at some point learn that their enemy, Elevra Erasne, is once a member of the same council. And that is the nasty of it. You're going to get into Elven society. And see, for this one, the ultimate intrigue, and I'm going to tell you, if you haven't gotten the ultimate intrigue, get it. For these kind of things here, and for the last adventure, that is where this comes in, that you can use social combat and subversiveness and other things that you want to do, and plot rending. And you as a DM, work with that, because that's the one thing about these adventures. This was all done before these things came about. So you didn't have major ways to award the player's experience for the defeats. Now you can. Now you can make it interesting. Now you can put favors and other things. So the first thing the party's going to run into is Lord Villasleer. And he is going to listen to the party in order to get them counsel with the beautiful queen of the realm. And then at night, Shin Rakoth soldiers are going to come in and try to take the party down. And so you got to deal with the different things that are going to be going on in these aspects with the party and everything else. Now, the intrigues of the court, I would play them up. They don't put enough things here and make it meaty. I would take this. And that's the one thing in all these adventure paths. Folks, just don't do them by the book. So many of you will just go through and run it as it is written. And no offense. Hey, Paizo, great job. And it is fun to run it as written. But me, I like to spin it out and put more meat to it. Because you want your players to have a full-on campaign and not just an adventure path experience. So in order to do this, you're going to have to work with that aspect. So keep that in mind as you go into that. Now, there's a lot of things you're going to run into. Quillandara, of course, is a succubus, and she's going to try to convince the party to help her out, escape, and then head to the Winter Council. Why is she doing that? Not to help. She wants to destroy the Winter Council because one of the former counselors is Alave, who is now part of the Drow Enclave. So she wants to destroy the Winter Council. The Winter Council isn't too pro of the Queen in the current standing. And so they've got their mercenaries to try to stop the party. A lot of politics going on between the two elf factions. Both of them want what's best for the realm. And they want an end of Tree Razor, and they want the end of other things. But know that this is just part of the many machinations that are going to go on. Play up the political intrigue in all this. That's one thing that's going on here that people don't understand, is there's a lot of political intrigue that is going on between the party and what's going to happen. And so you want to really make it worth playing this out. The party is going to get to do a grand tour of Golarion. They're going to get to use the Elf Gates, something that has not been used in a lot of adventures and adventure paths. So you're going to get used to what's called the Ayadara network. Now, when you get out, the mercenaries from the Winter Elves are going to try to kill the party again. They want the party gone. They see him as a threat. But Quillandra is going to take them through the gates and try to get them as close to the Winter Council as possible. So here's what's going on here. They're going to hop through several gates. The first gate is the Lotus Gate. The Lotus Gate takes the party, it is actually in the area. And it's going to take the party to the next gate, which is Galt Gate. And that's in the middle of Galt. It is in the Borewood. And so you got to get to the Galt Gate. And their humming crystals are in the cathedral caverns that are in this area to the elven gods. When the Taldorans came through, they crushed this area of elf presence. But this was left behind. From there, they're going to transport to the Ice Gate, which is Elysian. Reign of Winter. Gotta love it. So they're going to go to the Ice Gate. And from the Ice Gate, they're going to run into some creatures and sentries there that are the Snowcaster sentries of their Winter Elves that are up in that area. And so you're going to run into the Shinra Korath soldiers of Winter that are from there. Then from there, you go to the Lich Gate, and the Lich Gate takes you to Ustalav, my favorite area. And it's going to some nasty place in Ustalav. And then from there, it takes the party to the final gate, which the final gate is Tangle Gate in the Tanglewood. But first, they're going to have to battle a Banshee that is there near the Lich Gate. So just keep that in mind. So then you're going to go through the Tanglebriar, which is Tree Razor's area. Not a great place to be with demons and other nasty, nasty fungoid type of things. And from there, the party gets into Thorn's End. Thorn's End was created by the Winter Elf Council when they returned from their exile. But with that, they formed a council of 6, okay? And Thorn's End became practically invulnerable to the demonic host of Tree Razor and his bunch. So they're in the heart of that. So, sorry, getting texted by my fiance. She thinks I'm being sarcastic. So from there, you find out that there used to be a Winter Council of 6. However, with Alevra's betrayal and killing of one of the counselors, there are 4 left. That is Arlindil. I'm bad with elven names, as you can tell. Arlindil is part of the council, and he is currently the oldest living member and a hardliner. Hyalin. Hyalin is the resident expert on arcane magic, and he is a gray elf. Melindel is the commander-in-chief of the council's defenders and has the contract with the Shinra Korath. And she is concerned with the integrity of Thorn's End and making sure people don't come in. And Paralir is the advisor on all things divine, so all the gods and goddesses. So those are the ones that are still left, you know? So from that, and I'm sorry, she's on a break here, so I'm kind of doing this while I'm doing the other. You're going to come into play with Thorn's End with some of the nasties, and you're going to run into the demons that are besieging them. And there's a Nalfeshni that you're going to have to deal with, as well as some other demons. And Quelindril is going to come out as the succubus she is and try to end things. But in that case, you are trying to save this council. You're not trying to destroy them. And in some cases, you're going to be up against some of the worst of the worst. You'll get to meet the councils. Melindel is one of the people you get to talk with. And you're trying to woo them over, basically, so that they understand the betrayal that's went on, but also so that they can unite behind things. Thorn's End, as you can see. So from there, there's some things that will go on. The demons are trying to basically affect the council. Paralir is a cleric of Calistria, and she is the one that is about the defense of the realm. And then you get to see Arlindel. Whoops, yeah. He's a lawful neutral druid that runs the group. And then finally, you're going to meet Hyalin. Hyalin's a nasty-looking individual, but he's a gray elf. And so the council session, you're going to try to win them over, but as you do, there is the battle going on with the demons. If you win the council, and if you can get them behind this cause to take down the baddies, and get rid of the Malefious spike that is causing problems in the area, then you're to the end of that adventure, and you're going into the Descent of Midnight. And this is a nasty, nasty place you're going into. You are going into the darkest of dark areas. So you are going into the different demonic underworld areas of that world. Now, one thing I'm going to say at the end of this one, again, they always provide some great material. So what are they going to give you here? They give you a couple things. They tell you about Keonan. Now, Keonan is detailed in the Inner Sea Guide, but they give you so much more. And they give you so many more things that you would never have known about the whole area of Keonan. They go through the goddess Calistria. Now, that's part of the Inner Sea Gods, and you're going to get that in there if you have that. But this, at the time, was some major stuff that would go into the Inner Sea Gods and Goddesses that they're telling you about. And then the Sun Daggers Crown, which is a side adventure in one of the forests. And of course, there's the Sun Dagger there. This is actually in another part of the world where the elves are. So just mind you, you're going to be going in and going against some Hezru and some other nasty things. So they give you another adventure for your players. Now, finally, the end of all things. This is it. The Descent into Midnight. If they succeed, it is over for everyone, and the world plunges into a second darkness. And what's funny is Wolfgang Bauer of Kobold Press has some writing in here. Yes, Wolfgang, I'm giving you your props. He had a major part into the Descent of Midnight. Now, in this one, here comes the final culminations. And this is the final confrontation of the Drow. And you're averting the end of the world. So the queen will apologize to the party for all the ills that have gone on. And you're going to have the unity behind the party to try to stop this from happening. The land of the Black Blood is in the deepest of the Darklands, a place called Orv. That's where the Sagothi are. So it's a nasty, nasty place. They introduce you first. You must go to the Shrine of the Bound Earth. And in that shrine, you are going to have to deal with some of the worst drow that are in there. And hang on. Sorry for the interruption here. You're going to come into as Renee. And as Renee is there, and it's Denrelwi, and she is a nasty, nasty piece of drow work. She is a illusionist of epic proportions, and you're going to come up against some of the different shaitans and other type of creatures that serve them. And you've got to get through the glyph wards to get to the Weeping Cliffs and get into some deeper areas. And basically, you've got to get into the place that the very Starstone is going, the machine to bring down the Starstone will be. Alevra Erasni is the female drow cleric of Abraxas, and she is one of the more nasty things that you're going to go up against, because they have the disciple things that go with them. And you're going to be fighting this drow plot. You're going to run into some very wonderful Merilith demons. One of them that's a real masterpiece of work. And what you must do is you must destroy the master glyph that will bring down the very stone into the earth and cause the second darkness. Now, the nice part is the land of the Black Blood in that area, you can do further adventures, and they give you the ability to do further adventures down in that area. And I love that about it. It gives you a whole thing of the land. It shows you some of the nasty places that are under there in those areas, even where the throne of the Abraxas is. And then you get to some information on the various demon lords of the world. Now, mind you, there are some nasty ones around. Noctula is the demoness of pleasure and torment. So you get some very interesting pictures of the different ones. And they talk about infestation into different areas of the world and have a side adventure with Camazotz. So you get a really good taste of the Underdark as well as the realms of the elves. So you get to see the real battle in this whole second darkness between the dark elves and the surface elves, and even the factions of the surface elves with each other. I know I kind of went through this a little disjointed. It's been a while since I've read the books. However, what I would say is I give it a 5 out of 5 when it comes to dealing with the different factionalism in elves as a whole, and the history of the elves and what caused the rifts and schisms that are there. It gets a 5 out of 5 for the different plots and groups that you're having to go against. You get a 5 out of 5 for the Underdark and all the information on the drow and the different creatures that you're going to run into in the Underdark. It gives you a real taste of what the Underdark's going to be and how nightmarish. 5 out of 5 for getting a whole drow elf clan that you get to understand and be a part and infiltrate. Amazing thing there. Now, where does it get a lesser thing? I would have put more meat on the bones, as they say. And that's always something that's a challenge in any of the adventure paths. I know it's not easy when you're the guys plotting it out and trying to make a project and meet it within a certain time frame. I can't wait till they revise this and put in classes like the Mesmerist and the occult things. The Underdark is very occultic, so the occult adventures is going to come in. The horror adventures can be put into this very easily because you got to think it's a nightmare realm. Madness is kind of common down there. Not enough on the Morlocks and the Duergar and other critters that are down there battling the drow. The Sagothi, there needs to be much, much more on the worms that are from another plane, that are alien, and other alien creatures that are down there. More about the Dark Veil. We should be running into more of the Dark Veil gods and goddesses and their temples down there and the madness. So there's some things down there that I think were left out. So I give it a 3 out of 5 and just the full overview of what was possible down there. But overall, I give the adventure a 4 to 4.5 out of 5 for owning the path. I think there is enough meat there and great things that you're going to get that you wouldn't get in any place else in any of the other books. So keep that in mind. Paizo Crew, please, please redo this one. Please, please add some more meat and add more side adventures down there in the Underdark and in Keonan. I think there's so much more you can do. And even with the gates, where can you go around the world that you wouldn't normally, or other places? There are other gates that take you to other planets in the system. So I think that's important too, to add those gates in there as well. Not that the party's going to go through them, but the knowing that they're there is going to be a huge thing. So with all that, I really want to say I think it's a great adventure path. Do own it. Do get it. Do really go through it. Do read it ahead of time. Don't just read it as you go. As I was looking through things, I missed things from the last time. And I'm telling you, you don't want to miss them. These are going to be one of these fun adventure paths that let the party really delve into the realms of the Drow and the dark realms. And so you want to really know what's going on and really plot it together in a good way. Be ready for lots of side outs because your parties are going to go off the rails. When they go in the Underdark, people are going to want to go explore. So allow some time in the mission. That's always the thing. Everything's under a time crunch. I don't like that. Allow a little bit more because all these things wouldn't be just coming together in 2 weeks or 4 weeks. This would take a good amount of time. So really turn it into a great campaign. With that, I hope you have a great morning. I hope everybody has a great time. And I just want to say a special shout out. Thank you to all my friends and people who watch these and who make things great. I really appreciate my fellow gamers, my fellow DMs, my fellow GMs, my fellow D&D 5eers, my fellow Pathfinders, my fellow Paizo people who comment on my comments. I appreciate some of you guys in the staff taking time out to comment on them. I really do love your work, and I really appreciate it. And I appreciate every one of you. I don't say it enough. We've got a great community out there. Utilize gaming to make great friendships that last a lifetime. Don't be shallow in your relationships. Spend these times building those bonds that last. You may turn into a third-party writer for one of these people. You may be able to help them in their organization. You may just even game with them. It's a great thing we have here. It brings together people who normally wouldn't touch each other's lives, and we are doing that in a great and creative way. So keep that in mind. I really enjoy doing these things. I hope everybody has a great week, and please leave feedback on any of my videos. If you feel like I'm leaving things out or if I could be doing something a little better, let me know. I really appreciate it, and Rick is out.